You know, as a kid, I was dared and peer pressured into going into a dark bathroom and saying Candyman 5 times in a mirror. You know what? I regret that decision after watching this movie. Yeah. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and I'm so excited to finally talk about Candyman, the next horror movie from Universal Pictures. A big thank you to the team over there for giving me the chance to see it in theaters, but you can check it out this weekend, August 27th. If you can safely get to a theater, trust me, it's worth it. The film is directed by Nia DaCosta, and this is the first movie of hers that I've seen. It's her second feature film, but if you don't know, well, now you know. She's directing The Marvels, which is set up to be a huge MCU film next year. And the cast here is led by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Teyonah, Parris, and Colman, Domingo, but there are some more names we'll talk about, and y'all, let me tell you, this movie was well worth the wait. Now, if you don't know much about the film, this is really a sequel to the 1992 horror film Candyman that returns to this now gentrified Chicago neighborhood where the legend began. And y'all, trust me, there's a lot to talk about here, but before we get into what I loved and the one thing I didn't like too much about Candyman, if this is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where we break down movies early like this all the time, so you're not going to want to miss a review, reaction, or any news in between. Go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, y'all, and hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this review, and get loud down below in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think of the film when you see it, because yes, I want to talk about this film so badly with each and every one of you. So you know what? Let's waste no more time and let's dive into my positives, because let me tell you guys, I love this movie. And as someone who hasn't seen the first film, I was able to fully get ingrained in the lore of Candyman. I only know this much about the original. It had Tony Todd. Other than that, I knew nothing. So there are things I'm going to have to go back and watch in the first film to really understand the connections in the sequel. But don't worry, guys, because this movie does a great job at really getting you into the story and allowing everything to be explained in a very easily digestible way. And that's a huge testament to the way Nia DaCosta was able to weave in flashbacks to help tell this story of Candyman. There's this amazing use of paper figures that are silhouetted and they look like puppets dancing across the screen. So instead of us just getting characters talking to one another in overly long bits of exposition, we get these awesome, very clever usage of flashbacks. So we see it happening, but in this funny art style, and I don't mean funny as in humorous, but it's just so different from anything I've seen this year. And this decision also falls into line with how well put together Candyman is as an overall film from a technical standpoint. Not only does Nia DaCosta knock it out of the park as a director, because man, her vision is so unique and it's so fresh, but she also enlists in Jordan Peele, who wrote the script alongside her, and Win Rosenfeld. So there's just so much to love about that, but what I will say without spoiling anything is the story is layered and it's well worth every minute. And speaking of minutes, guys, this is only a 91-minute film. It's such a tight script, and the movie itself never felt rushed, and that to me is incredible because no scene ever overstayed its welcome. Instead, I felt completely locked in for every minute and no second was wasted. Okay, so let's circle back now to this movie being a horror film. And yes, it is on the surface, but it's not just a horror movie. There are going to be a lot of people that leave the theater and think to themselves, well, this wasn't as scary. Yes, there's blood and gore, which we'll talk about, but the movie isn't just a horror film. Now, I love Jordan Peele, and when I saw Get Out and Us, I understood completely that it wasn't just a scary film. It was also a social commentary piece, and that's what Candyman is as well, and it exceeds at being just that. Candyman speaks to the Black experience in America, and I know that I can't personally speak to that experience myself, but what I will say is that the promise and delivery of the script was executed perfectly. This movie holds back no punches, and I love the fact that it just commits. It commits and it just excels at every single thing it tries to accomplish. So I'm telling you guys, the way that everything was crafted, the structure of the story was just excellent and near perfect. Oh, and speaking of not holding back punches, from a shock value standpoint, guys, there are moments here that have my jaw on the ground. And here's where we're going to circle back to the blood and gore, because if you don't have an iron stomach, this is going to be a hard watch for you. There are limbs falling off, there's blood everywhere, a gratuitous amount of blood. But guess what? It's not just shock value to be shock value. Instead, it adds to the story. And not only was my mind blown from the blood and the gore in this film, but from an acting standpoint, this movie just completely knocked me off my feet. And I guess that's not too hard when you're sitting, but you know what I mean. Guys, this cast is just phenomenal. It starts with Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who plays an artist named Anthony McCoy. His slow descent into being obsessed with the Candyman legend is incredible. I've been a fan of his for quite some time, guys, so I don't want to sound redundant in saying this because you might have heard me talk about him in other reviews, but he's absolutely captivating on screen. And I absolutely love this chemistry here with Teyonah Parris. I was put on notice with her acting ability and her range in If Beale Street Could Talk, and here I love the fact that she's able to just have this amazing synergy between her and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. She plays Brianna, and that's Anthony's girlfriend, so yes, there's this romantic appeal and this angle for both of them, but the payoff with their relationship is like, it's otherworldly. And honestly, she's able to handle this emotional weight for the character that comes in the third act of this film. And guys, we have to talk about Colman Domingo as well, because man, this guy cannot miss. He is incredible. The way he just really commits 110% to any character he plays is fantastic. Now, I don't want to talk too much about his character because of course this is a spoiler-free review, and yes, he is in a supporting role here, but I had chills with his scenes alongside Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Teyonah Parris. There's one moment in the second half of this movie that, boy, it froze me. I literally stopped breathing and I had to think, oh yeah, that's right, I gotta take a breath here. He's incredible. And I also found Nathan Stewart Jarrett as Troy, Brianna's brother, to be both funny and also grounded. He kicks off the film with this scary story, and I wasn't scared. Okay, maybe I was a little scared, but man, the way he delivers all of his lines is just excellent. It's natural, and you can just tell that this cast, man, this cast is just perfect. They complement each other very well. And I also think the atmosphere built in Candyman is excellent. Now, the score here by Robert Aki Aubrey Lowe is one of the most chilling, unsettling scores of the year, but it's perfectly fitting for Candyman. I love that the score is able to build up anticipation, and then once we get to the climax of the film, I just felt like everything was worth the wait. And the cinematography here was also amazing. It's one of the most well-shot movies of the year, and the cinematographer John Gulasarian does a great job at framing certain moments. There's one at an art show where everything looked beautiful and scary, but beautiful, and I don't know how he did it, but the way he was able to play with certain colors that just complemented the moods of scenes was just fantastic. I keep using fantastic and incredible for this film because, as you can tell, it's really good. But for as good as it is, there's only one negative I have here, and that comes in the very beginning of the movie. There are some conversations that our characters have, and more specifically, there's this art show exhibitist, I don't know if that's even a proper adjective, and he works alongside Brianna, and there's one conversation specifically at the end of the first act that I didn't feel was very natural, and there are certain moments like that in the first half of the movie where I felt like some conversations didn't necessarily come across as natural as they could have been. But guys, that doesn't take away from the experience, because all of that gets washed away in the middle and the end of the film, and let me tell you, the overall experience really is just breathtaking. So guys, overall, as a film, Candyman is a must-see this year. If you're a fan of Jordan Peele, watch this movie. If you're a fan of excellent direction and acting, watch this movie. And if you just want a good horror experience that is unlike anything you're going to see this year, watch Candyman. Nia DaCosta just completely knocks it out of the park here, guys. This is just the second film this year that I can think of off the top of my head that if I had to rate it on a 5-star scale, it's a 5 out of 5. I walked out of the theater buzzing, no pun intended, about the cast, the crew, but guys, I just can't tell you enough. This is just such a cohesive experience, and for 91 minutes, this is the smoothest film of the year. I just love all the performances as well, guys. I just can't stop thinking about Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Teyonah Parris. I love them in this movie together. And then Colman Domingo, even though he's a supporting character for the most part, he makes his presence felt with any moment he's given on screen. So again, Candyman is one of my favorite films of the year, and it's right up there in my top 5 immediately, and I can't wait to rewatch this movie because the rewatchability factor, I have a feeling, is going to be so high. It's such an easy watch. Well, when I say easy, I mean like you can get from start to finish and want to watch it again if you can stomach the blood and gore, because there are some moments that I had to avert my eyes. But guys, again, there you have it. That's my real review for Candyman, in theaters August 27th. So when you see it, go ahead and get loud down below in the comments and let me know what you think about the film. Do you love it as much as I do, or were you a little indifferent? And if you haven't already, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, guys, for more reviews just like this. Tap on that bell and hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed everything you saw. Alrighty guys, well, you know what? I cannot wait for this movie to come out in theaters. And how many times have I said Candyman? It's been like, what, I said it less than 5 times, right? I hope. Alrighty guys, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.